Well, every year during football season, we get the opportunity to have a halftime conversation with the softball coach, Ashley Bunn. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Harry.
I am doing good as well. First of all, thank you very much for talking with us. We haven't spoken, I guess, except via email since the end of the softball season in May. Ended a little prematurely, darn it. Wanted to move a little further, but, you know, you had a great season. Reflect on the 24 campaign and I know you're disappointed. You know, you remind me, I'm going to tell you, remind me of a coach who I won't give the name, but she absolutely hates losing. And you kind of remind me of her. So tell me about your assessment of last year.
Well, I mean, I guess that's a good thing to remind you of. Uh, she's a smart woman then.
That's
Um,
right.
we started out our regular season pretty tough. I mean, we went 0-5 to begin with, right out the gate. Um, and it seemed like every tournament that we went to, we were playing the top teams there. Everybody was ranked. So we had a lot of obstacles that we had to make it through and find our way. So our beginning of our season was a little bit rocky at times, but the girls fought hard, and I was really proud of them. And that's the only reason we made it as far as we did, was just because they kept their head up, kept treading and pushing and working through those things and coming out on top. At one point during the season, we were leading the conference. The last game of the season, just about, we lost first place and ended up in second, to a really good ABAC team who's now gone to NAIA. You've been around it long enough to know that once you make it to the tournament, it's really anybody's thing. It's who gets hot at the right time. And unfortunately, the ball just didn't fall our way. I thought my pitchers threw really well. Losing 1-run games 3-2 and 3-2 is not what I would have expected or even put money on going in. But sometimes that's just the way it goes. And AVAC and Gordon and even East Georgia, I mean, all the teams that were there fought really hard. So it was really competitive. It was a good tournament to be a part of. Obviously, we had 10 sophomores last year. So for all 10 of them, I mean, I would have loved the opportunity for them to been able to keep playing forward and have the chance to go to nationals. It just unfortunately wasn't in the cards for us.
You know, we're coming up on the fall ball season for Georgia Military College softball. So I want to go back a year ago to fall ball and you ending fall ball. Do you get kind of a feel for how the team is going to fare in the spring? And last fall, were you a little concerned or did you feel good going into the year?
I felt pretty good. We had about 19 players on our team. We ended up finishing the season with 15 last year. And then we had several injuries. So, I mean, obviously that changes things. You have a couple of kids that this isn't really what they thought it would be, and so that kind of changes things for you as your season goes along, depending on when they decide to walk away. So I still felt good. We had, Hudson and Caitlin both returning on the infield. You had Bella, who we knew could hit, and just figuring out what spot for her would be best, defensively, or whether she would just be an offensive weapon for us. We had 2 catchers returning. We had, two outfielders returning. And by the end of the season last year, we ended up with all sophomores starting.
Wow.
So we lost every starting position is what we lost from last year. So in the fall, you're playing all 4-year schools. So you're trying to see what you have, obviously compared stacked up to them, but you use the fall to see what you have and put pieces together and figure out who works well together. And so I was pretty confident going in. Just like I said, it's not that we played bad. It's not none of those things. It just unfortunately didn't. And it's not like we gave up a lot of home runs in that tournament. It's just weak ground balls that made it through somehow. So you can't plan on those. You can't predict them. But that's why you play the game. That's why you put your cleats on and your belt and your hats, and you go out there and you compete. So
Well, reflecting again on fall ball, though, is that feeling that you've got going into spring after you've wrapped up your fall session, has it historically been accurate, or does fall ball really even give you a really clear sign as to what's going to happen in the spring?
I think it gives you an idea. Sometimes it hasn't always been accurate. We've played some falls and it looked like who'd have thunk it, and I was like, oh no, what are we doing? It's gonna be a long season, and then we end up winning, more games than you ever win in a regular season. So you got to when you're going into fall ball and you're playing those teams, you have to really worry about what your team is bringing to the table, not what the teams that you're playing. I mean, playing these 4-year schools, they've got kids that have played together for a long time. They've got kids that are older and more experienced and don't have to really learn everything just like yours do. Like this year, we have 12 new players coming in. And like I just said, we have no returning starters from last year. So we're all brand new. So you have to really look at things two-sided. Like, yeah, we did bad in that, but did we do bad in that because of where we're playing or who we're playing, or can we get better in those situations? So you kind of can't be like, yeah, we're going to be great, or no, we're not going to be great, depending on who we're playing. You just kind of got to get a feel for things sometimes. So, and it kind of helps you creating your starting lineup, I guess, because we get to start early in January. We only have about 2 weeks so we can practice. But it's always evolving. It's never the lineup that you have on January 24th that you're going to have at the tournament in May.
All right, where this class is concerned, the freshmen that you've never seen on a Georgia Military College diamond before, but you've seen them obviously play at the prep level. You have seen them in practice. How do you feel about the freshmen?
I'm excited about them. Like I said, they're walking into great opportunity, having every spot wide open. You've got some that have, we've got some speed, we got some power, pitching. We got 3 pitchers who are completely different from each other, so that'll be beneficial, moving forward. But it's wide open, and so to be able to watch them all compete, I think is going to be the fun part and the hard part. I got no set ideas of what I think people might be. They'll come in, but it gives them the opportunity to come in and surprise me.
Has this been the first year for you as a coach to coach a team where every position will feature a freshman?
Yes, sir.
It is.
I have 4 sophomores, 5 sophomores. I have 4 returning and 1 transfer. So, the sophomores will have their opportunities as well. One of them, Mackenzie Maddox, would have played, every game last year had she not have gotten hurt. Alyssa Jones did see a good amount of time between first pitching and as our DH. So they have played. There is some experience between them. It's just not every day, all day, starting experience. So there could still be sophomores in the lineup, and I fully expect there to be. It just means that just everybody will be new. You'll be learning a lot of new names the next time we see you.
Hey, I'm good with that. I got to ask this because it's interesting that I had a conversation just really a few moments ago with a gentleman about the changing attitudes, the difference of the athlete today as compared to years gone by. You've been coaching now for what, about, 2 or 3 years? Okay, 10 or 15 years.
Yes, sir.
So the athlete has changed over the course of time. Have you changed in coaching where these new athletes are concerned, or is it more the athlete adapts to your coaching style, or is it a combination of the two?
I think it has to be a combination of the two. You have to. I have a new assistant coach this year, and part of what she's having to learn is how to interact with the players. You can't coach your shortstop the same way you can coach your first baseman or your pitcher. Everybody's a little different, but also they have their own styles. They have their own weaknesses and strengths, and their attitudes, I guess, is and not a bad attitude. I don't mean that in a bad way, but you have to learn that about them. Like, I can coach one kid. I could coach Lily Griffith one way, and I had to coach Hudson a different way. They weren't the same kid. And so part of coaching is just learning that and figuring out how you can coach each kid. It doesn't necessarily mean that I have to change my coaching style. I can just teach each kid differently. Some of them I push a little bit harder. Some of them push themselves so hard they don't need me to push them. and they need me to be more supportive of them, not hard on them. I don't think I've so much changed what I teach, but yes, how you teach it has definitely had to evolve.
2025, what is an acceptable year for Ashley Bunn?
Well, I mean, anything less than a national championship is unacceptable, right?
That's right. Well, now, okay, with ABAC gone, and in the years gone by, at least I guess the last 3, 4, 5 years, though Georgia Highlands at one point was in with that top tiered mix too. But over the course of the last 3 or 4 years, it's been ABAC, Gordon, and Georgia Military College. Does that mean it is Gordon and Georgia Military College that are the powers this year, or is it kind of more parity in the conference?
I'm not really sure. We've got several new coaches in our conference this year. We'll have some new coaches at some different teams, which they'll bring some different things to the table that we haven't seen before this year. All 6 teams are going to get to make it to the conference tournament. So that'll be a little bit different than we've had in the last couple of years. It was when I first got here, 6 teams made it, but now we go back to 6, so it gives everybody that opportunity to get there and fight for something. Georgia Highlands last year, they were only 1 game out really from being able to make that tournament, and East, I believe, has several of their players back, and they had a good little squad. So in junior college, you're turning over every 2 years, so I mean, it's always a fight. So.
Coach, congratulations on another great year. How many wins now? I know it's 400 plus. How many exactly?
I don't know.
You do not know how many wins. That's interesting too, because the coach I was talking about previously that hates losing.
Yes, sir.
She didn't know her wins either. She knew exactly how many losses there had been though, and she was not happy with them. So I got a feeling if I said, well, how many losses, you might know that number, but I won't bring it up. Because
between 2 and 300
winning year.
I mean, it's okay. You lose, so
that's right. I mean, and really losing is part of the winning in kind of a strange kind of way.
You can learn some through losing if you allow yourself to.
Coach, great year. Looking for the same in 2025. Look forward to the softball come January. And thank you for being our guest at halftime.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Go Bulldogs.